Okay, kindergarten, we have one last story in our stories about families and how God gives us families, and Moses' family in particular. Last week we learned that the children of Israel finally got to leave Egypt, and now they are on their way to the promised land. And this week's story is called Desert Surprises. So last week when we ended our story, they were celebrating because God had parted the Red Sea for them and kept them safe. And this week we're going to learn some more things about what God did. So Moses and the Israelites were thankful that God had helped them safely across the Red Sea. They were happy that they wouldn't have to worry about Pharaoh again. They were also happy that they wouldn't have to go back to Egypt to be slaves anymore. Now the cloud was moving forward. The Israelites had to pack up their tents and supplies and be ready to travel. It was time for the Israelites to begin their long journey to their new home in Canaan, the land that God had promised them. We'll trust God and we'll follow where the cloud leads us, Father told their families as they started traveling. Okay, so here they are packing up everything. They're starting to travel. Their journey took them through the hot, dry desert. For 3 days they walked over sand and rocks. Mothers and fathers shared their water with their children, but soon their water bags were empty. "We're hot and thirsty," many of the people complained to Moses. Then someone saw a large pool of water. Quickly the Israelites ran to the water and began taking big gulps of the cold water. But then something awful happened. They started shouting, "Oh, this water tastes terrible. It's bad. What are we going to do now?" Moses said, "Let's ask God." Moses trusted God. He knew God could help them if they chose to trust him. So Moses prayed and he asked God what to do. God pointed Moses to a special piece of wood. God told Moses to throw the wood into the water, and Moses did. And the water turned from bitter to sweet. Everyone drank as much water as they could. They filled their water bags full and splashed water all over their faces. The children played and splashed in the water to cool off. Even the animals were happy to have cool, fresh water to drink. The large cloud stopped near this spot. Here the Israelites set up their camp. It felt so good to be able to rest for a few days. Here, there's a picture of Moses throwing the special piece of wood in the water, and then everybody could take a drink. After several days, the large cloud began moving again. Families packed up their tents and supplies once again and were ready to travel on toward their new home in Canaan. But soon, many people began to complain again. The food they brought with them from Egypt was now almost gone. There was no food in the desert. The people forgot that they could trust God to take care of them. Instead, they complained to Moses again. "We're hungry and our food's almost gone," they told him. "We wish we were back in Egypt where there was lots of food to drink." God heard their grumbling and complaining once more, and God told Moses, "Tell the people that I will make sure they have food to eat every day." The next morning, when the Israelites woke up, the ground was covered with small little white flakes. "What is this?" they asked Moses. "This is bread that God is providing for you," he exclaimed. Someone bent over and picked up a few pieces to taste it. It's very good. It's sweet like a honey cake." They knew that God was taking very good care of them. There's a picture of them picking up the little pieces of bread. They called it manna, and manna means, what is it? Collect just enough manna for today, Moses told the people. What you don't use today will spoil. It will not be good tomorrow. But on the sixth day, gather enough for that day and the Sabbath the next day, because there will be no manna on the ground on Sabbath. The Sabbath is a special day for rest. God doesn't want us working to gather up manna on that day. And on the sixth day, there was twice as much manna on the ground as any other day of the week. The Israelites used their baskets and bowls to pick up twice as much manna as they usually would. And that manna did not go bad. It was still good to eat on the Sabbath. On the Sabbath, the Israelites didn't have to work to gather any manna. They could trust God to take care of them. One time, the Israelites again forgot how much God loved and cared for them, and they started complaining about having only manna to eat. They remembered all of the foods that they had had to eat back in Egypt, and they wanted food like that again. That evening, God sent a big wind with lots of quail to fly into their camp. The Israelites were happy to have different food to eat that evening. All of this special food was sent from God. God was showing the Israelites how much He loved and cared for them, so that they would be able to trust Him more. Every day, for 40 years, God provided food and water every day, all the time, for the children of Israel. There's a picture of the quail flying in. God is good to our families too. He does so many wonderful things for you, and He gives you so many good things. Because God takes such good care of us, we can say, I trust in you, my God. There's a text in the Bible that says that. Psalms 25 verse 2 says, I trust in you, my God. So God was showing the children of Israel how much He loved them by giving them food to eat and water to drink. And the Bible tells us that He kept their clothes from wearing out and He kept their shoes from wearing out the whole 40 years they were in the wilderness. And God promises to do the same for us. He says, I will take care of you. You can trust in me. So this week we're going to think a lot about, how does God take care of us? One of the ways God takes care of us is He gives us families. Families really help us to have the things we need. They love us, they take care of us, they make sure that we have food and water, just like God did for the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness on their long, long journey. Take some time with your family now and talk about, how is God taking care of you and your family?